Congratulations, you are watching Epic Sketch Time. My name is Mark Monlux. I'm a freelance illustrator and cartoonist who lives in Tacoma, Washington, and I'm going to be your host for this week's Epic Sketch Time. You can see my, I do a couple comics called The Return of Stickman and The Comic Critic, and I'll let the others introduce themselves.
I'll go next. I'm Crystal Rollins. I'm a schlub that works a day job as a pre-press technician, and I've created the comics Aspect, Skyborn, and just debuting last weekend, I finally finished Light and Shadow and printed that up. And I am working on the second half of the Bird Brained Kickstarter. I'm currently at bird 54 of 100.
Whoa.
Yeah, I got an Excel sheet and everything.
My name is Pat McEwen. I do a comic called The Devil and Mr. Gandhi. You can read it at devilandgandhi.com.
I'm Bill Morse. I'm a cartoonist and illustrator, and I do a comic strip called Rhapsodies. And I'm currently trying to stay ahead on that one because I want to have a big enough buffer that I can relax in my vacation next week.
This seems like crazy talk. People actually having buffers. What's the world coming to?
Mm-hmm. And also, I've been experimenting with a new style for another project, which I thought to bounce off you guys. The idea is I'm sort of basing it on the what I've been doing for my inked challenges, a lot more sort of woodcutty and simplistic. Slightly stylized. I'm still fine-tuning it, but here's one of the character sheets that I did today.
Looks cool. Is it going to be like aviators or people in submarines or what?
Essentially, it's sort of a... the working title is Shanty World. Sort of imagine it as a sci-fi version of Thieves World, if you ever read that as a kid. It's a sort of imagine Star Wars if nobody ever left Tatooine or left Mos Eisley.
I mean, if they actually gave Mos Eisley more shit to do, that could actually be really cool.
Yeah. So anyway, what looks like an aviator jacket here is sort of something I came up with for a kind of what I like to refer to as a utility jacket with as many pockets as humanly possible.
See, I was thinking aviator more from the goggles.
Oh, well,
like anytime I see a character design with goggles on it, it's like, okay, why does the character have goggles?
Well, in this case, it's because the setting involves a very bright F2 dwarf, and in that context, the more accurate question is, why doesn't anybody wear goggles?
So you're saying the better question is, why isn't the goggles actually on his eyeballs? The poor man's going blind.
Because he's indoors at the moment.
Gotcha.
And the goggles also have several other perks besides the mere keeping the radiation out.
Makes sense.
And while I'm at it, let me show off the other piece that I've been my other experiment with using the style. I should have opened it before coming on, but I'm at the moment way too surprised that thanks to not using Safari today, I got in here with only 5 minutes there, and I would have gotten in sooner if I had realized that Google using Chrome for the first time wanted my password, and I had to waste about 3 minutes opening up my file on that, which had it in there. But anyway, here is the other example of the experiment. Come on, open up you. Where not perfect, but I think it's a good first step as far as still figuring it out is concerned.
Crystal, thank you.
I'm worried that the logo kind of gets lost on that cover. Sorry,
I
Mark.
agree. I mean, this is a logo that I'd had on file. I definitely want to redo it, and I've tried it in every imaginable color, and it still didn't stick out.
Yeah, it's not a color thing. It's more the detail because of the way it's like thin vertical shapes that are really tight together. It feels very detailed and cluttered, which actually fits with what you've got going on with the world setting. It's just they're too much alike, and it gets lost with like the I-beams and the like airship or whatever's behind him.
Right.
You know, you need to get rid of, either remove the detail behind it, Bill, or add an element that falls behind that lettering so that you can.
Like maybe the lettering could be like look like it's pushed out of a piece of metal, so it could have like an enclosing box that would like give it some breathing room from the background.
Right.
Because really, if that's a cover, the title doesn't have to be that big on the cover. That's taking up the full width. That's really big for a logo.
Right. I was sort of doing some experiments with just what other titles have done in the past, and yeah, I did make it larger than it had to be, but I was sort of still tweaking the look. I mean, this is one of my first experiments with doing any sort of title logo, and so I freely admit that the sort of hand-done lettering is all over the place. I was sort of trying to come up with something folkish and jagged.
I actually don't feel like the lettering all over the place bothers me that much, because your art style is a little bit like, it feels like hand-drawn ink. It's got like an uneven tactile quality to everything. Like I said, the logo looks like it really fits in with that style. I'm just having readability issues.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, as I said, it's an early experiment, so I'm not. There's no risk of having my feeling. Sorry, that was so passive aggressive, but
you want me to hurt your feelings? I can hurt your feelings. I'm being nice right now.
I appreciate that skill, and because it's sort of like, as I said, this is a direction that I'm finding very promising, but I still I'm fully aware that there's a lot of kinks with this new look that it'll probably take a couple more months to get it right, but I'm happy where it's going.
Yeah, with logos also, you can always just kind of like set it down for a few days and come back to it. Sometimes the answer will be super clear if you just come back to it a week later.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you've gotten some mental distance from it.
Yeah.
I know I had that problem with Skyborn. I've got some early versions of that logo that are just like, they're kind of cockeyed and weird, and they don't quite work. And it was like that, where like I kept fussing with it for like 3 weeks straight. And then I got busy with something else and I ignored it for like a month, and I came back. And the second I came back, I'm like, oh shit, I know how to fix this.
Yeah, but I've been really but essentially with this, I've been really enjoying where the 10-point markers limitation had been pushing my style in the last 3 sketch challenges I'd used them for. And so sort of having hey, how about I try and do a project with this look? And on top of this, I'm trying to go for a deliberately flat color with minimum shading beyond the hatching, sort of going for a woodblock look.
Yeah, I totally know that feeling. I did that with Light and Shadow. I did 98% of the line art in that comic with one pen.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the same pen I'm starting to use on like everything, which is these medium zebras. Love these pens for basically everything. But I did all the comic with that, and it really kind of gave it a unified look, just because all being done with the same pen, like you said, you have to think about line variation differently. It's not going to be quite as all over the place with.
Exactly, and with the hatching, so far it's been it forces me to up my coloring technique, because with the hatching I can't just use the paint tool. Or more accurately, so frequently I'm being forced to paint underneath it. But anyway, thought I'd show you what direction how that one is going before I forget it, because it's
looking cool.
yeah, because it's at a stage where feedback is everything, and as I said, while I'm excited by it, I freely admit that it's easy to get blinded by your enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Oh, and on a plus note, I just got myself hooked on a really cool anime. Anybody hear of something called Shirobaku? Tako?
Nope.
It's
I've not heard of that one.
It's essentially all about the animation industry in Japan, warts and all, and quite fascinating because of it. So what's the bird of the day?
Right now, I'm working on a sandpiper.
Anything specific?
A sharp-tailed sandpiper?
Okay, cool.
I didn't know how many of them there were. Like I didn't realize sandpiper was that big.
There's quite a few of them, ranging from curlew to the least sandpiper, and lots in between.
The least sandpiper?
Yeah.
The most sandpipery, the least sandpipery?
No,
Is this like sandpaper grits?
These adorable tiny little things. If you ever saw that Pixar short that was
I still haven't. I heard it was really cute.
Yeah. I mean, out here the most common one are I was just about talking about them, and now I'm blanking on the name, but you see them remarkably far inland. They love pavement.
Which is funny because like every picture I've seen of them, they're like wading in water.
Yeah.
Or they're on sand.
I mean, I remember one of the last times I was visiting family in Massachusetts. We were going to this shindig in honor of my late grandmother, who was a real enthusiastic bird watcher. So we were at this this very well-known bird sanctuary in Massachusetts called Plum Island. And you looked at one of the mud flats and you saw at least 6 species in the same 20 square feet.
Like 6 types of sandpipers or just 6 types of birds?
In this case, 6 types of sandpipers.
Wow.
6 sandpipers.
That just surprises me because so often they talk about species like being differentiated because of regions. So like to see 6 of them.
Well, in this case, there are a lot of specialists. So, for example, the big ones like the curlews are going after relatively large clams that are as deep as a foot under the mud.
Wow.
What you're talking about with what you are calling a sandpiper, that everybody knows when they hear the word sandpiper are generally going for just stuff like tiny little shrimp and crustaceans and whatnot that are probably not even barely submerged. So while it looks like the same environment, it's essentially a vast array of
There's a lot of dining choices.
right.
There's a lot of hierarchy to that food chain, it sounds like.
Look at giraffes, for example. They're for the really high branches, whereas a large eland can handle the lower foliage no problem.
I'm curious, folks. I'm wondering if I messed up on the broadcast on my end, but what are you guys seeing when you talk? Is the screen bouncing from person to person like it's supposed to, or is it locking in on one person?
I'm seeing different things.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Okay, then it's just mine. That's good. I want to make. For some reason, it's only showing me the items that I'm clicking on. Do a test. Oh, now it's doing the right. It's sound activated on my screen. Okay.
I'm not super happy with this guy. He's not.
Sorry, I was gone for a while. My wife came home from shopping. She decided to stay home today. She scheduled it to recover from the Lilac City Comic Con that we went to. Where I was.
Where'd that go?
It was slow, but that was to be anticipated because this is the first year that they, I think they've been doing it for like 6 or 8 years, and it's the first year they've gone from a 1-day convention to a 2-day convention.
Oh.
And this is their 3rd year, I think, at the convention hall. Before that, they were just doing it at a community college because they could get the facility really, really cheap. But then another convention started happening inside Spokane, and they immediately went to the Spokane Center, and people were commenting on how much better it was than the other convention because it was centrally located, the attendance was higher, yada, yada.
If they're talking about Spokane, I didn't feel like Spokane was that
joining us today, but I don't have a picture for her, and she's on mute, so she's probably just listening to us on the phone. Or maybe she's watching us, but she's not broadcasting. Thank you for joining, Anik. Patrick, I was noticing that you were working on a newspaper-themed project today. What's that about?
I am. My buddies who do the comic Holidays, spelled with a Z, which is about a kind of mythical. It's a bar at which mythical figures go to
relax between holidays,
blow off some steam, and get into trouble. And they are doing a kind of, so that's where Santa Claus goes, and that's where the Tooth Fairy goes, and St. Patrick, and all these figures. So they're doing an entire issue about Krampus.
Oh, cool.
huh?
So I'm going to be working on instead of Harper's Weekly, it'll be Dandy's Weekly because the name of the publishing company is Dandy Press. And instead of Thomas Nast's famous Santa Claus drawings for Harper's Weekly, I'll be doing a very kind of thin line 19th century magazine Krampus illustration.
And have you seen any of the references? I've come across lots of German postcards of that era that has some really good ones.
Yeah, there's some crazy looking Krampuses, I can tell you that. I'm not sure which one I'm gonna lean towards at this point.
Well, my project today, can you guys guess what it is on the screen? Oh, hang on. Let me put it up. It
Let's
helps.
see your face.
Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, Hawaiian shirt, sloppy,
Still not seeing a screen share.
I'm working on it. Jeez.
doing feng shui on your drawing table.
There we go.
Ah, that's Ymir from 3 million miles from Earth.
You almost got the title right. It's 20 million miles to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his Google Maps wasn't very accurate.
But does he count under your level of obscure? Is he obscure enough for your criteria? I thought it's one of Harryhausen's better known ones.
I'm going to go for it.
I mean, he did Donnie Darko, and a ton of people know about Donnie Darko.
Mhm.
I
Also
was
did Piranha, and a lot of people know about Piranha.
I was honestly amazed, truly shocked at the depth of ignorance my loyal fan base has when it comes to movies.
Sorry. Guilty.
I was showing off the deck to a lot of people, and as they flipped through, they said, nope. A lot of people had seen a lot of the stuff, but most of them, it was very new to them. And certainly,
But a lot of
Not
people
a
still liked the
single person.
illustrations, so it was still really cool. And heck, maybe people will go out and watch those movies because of your illustrations.
we can only hope. Though
I don't know. A lot of
some of
them
them were very bad.
Well, that's why they've got the bingo card. And they can take a shot if they fill up the bingo card.
So I decided to price my bingo cards at 4 cards for $8. 8 cards for $10, 12 cards for $12, and 25 cards for $20. And people were buying them.
Oh, wow.
Initially, I had wanted to get them to the price point where I could do 4 for $5,
Mm-hmm.
because then they would just fly off the shelf. But it wasn't going to be. It wasn't a good profit margin,
Yeah.
because if I did any less of a quantity run than say 1,200, then it wouldn't really be worth all the effort. I would lose all the money just on dragging them around everywhere.
Yeah, what did your cost per card for printing end up being? Or do you want to talk about that?
The final cost per printing per card was 36 cents.
That's not too bad.
So yeah, when I sell them, I'm making an okay profit.
I'm surprised you got that price, though, that you said you printed 1,200?
It might have been more than 1,200. It might have been. How many did I print?
It just feels like you could have gotten...
I remember I printed enough through Moo that
It's 5
Oh,
o'clock.
that's why. Moo is
Moo
definitely not
was
cheap.
one of the few places that would do what I wanted them to do, and the stock quality was spot on. I mean, these cards, they feel great in the hand, as Patrick can attest, because he's got some.
I sure do.
What do you think of the feel of them? Don't they feel like they feel like they're more than a postcard, don't they?
The bingo cards.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I think they're almost I don't want to say rubberized, but they have a very nice texture and feel to them. and definitely more substantial than a postcard. Definitely.
Yeah.
And the colors are bright and sharp, and very cool.
Thank you very much. Not that I was begging for, but I was. Thank you.
And while you're at it, get yourself a copy of The Comic Critic.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, 2 volumes of The Comic Critic by Mark Monlux.
Nice
I only
announcer voice.
have about 30 of the seldom seen film books left.
Oh.
Good. Congrats.
So for an interlude, Sandpiper, basically done. I'm gonna swish in some background because he looks kind of funny without a little bit of ground to.
You need some sea foam.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that looked cool. I could probably do that. I've actually gotten a really good trick for using the blender to kind of pull out the color to make a really nice water highlight effect.
Have you ever treated the surface with a blanking color agent and then gone over it?
With like the blender marker? I
Yeah.
have. For this paper's a little more rough, so I haven't gotten really any exceptional thing from that. I find I just have to work a bit faster in general with this paper, but I get some really nice textures out of it. So it doesn't quite follow like most of the rules for doing marker work. Let's see.
So did anyone get a chance to see Wonder Woman this weekend? I have not.
I haven't yet either, so please no big spoilers, though it's probably like Wonder Woman leaves the island, Wonder Woman fights World War I, Wonder Woman is awesome, the end.
Yeah, no, I'm probably not going to see it until close to the end of the month. Combination of the friend I see all the genre films with doesn't like crowds much, and also the fact that I'm getting back on the 24th. So I'm mostly hearing good things, except a bunch of MRA doofuses complaining that it's too feminist. I'm going
MRA?
Wonder Woman.
Oh, men's rights activists?
Yeah.
Oh, bliss. Like, you have enough men's rights movies. Let us have the one feminist superhero.
Of course.
Seriously.
I mean, Wonder Woman, of course it's feminist. and unless she's starting talking about the joys of castration, it can't be too feminist.
But this, wait, what? How did we get to castration? How is that a feminist thing?
I'm saying
Yeah, Bill.
I'm saying what one of these. Never mind.
Oh, like what they think is like what like MRA people think all feminists are out for is like to castrate men. Like, I don't have enough time for that. I'm not going to waste my time castrating men. I got better things to do.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez. Texture.
I think the Bill the word you were trying to look for, Bill, is
This sand texture brought to you by paper towels.
oh, nice.
I picked up that trick by accident because I was trying to pull up some color because I had a marker drip on the paper one time. And I'm like, man, the texture made by that paper towel is actually really cool. I'm just gonna cover this part of the picture with paper towel marker texture.
Oh, speaking of this, another thing I need to show off. I'd been starting to crank out some bad watercolors so I wouldn't have to waste too much time warming up once I got to Maine. So here is the first one. Nothing really to brag about, but I think it's makes for a nice warm-up piece.
That looks like an SCA fight practice.
It is, well, it's not SCA, but it is a similar group doing fight practice like they do every Sunday at Gasworks Park.
Can you show the picture again? Because it was showing Mark when you were holding it up.
Okay, just a second.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the second I see it. I'm like, yeah, that looks like going to like Ren Fair or SCA, like seeing them in their like practice garb.
Yeah, I mean it's not SCA specifically, though. Only they would know the difference. Apparently, they're more hardcore, but.
Oh, jeez.
But at least they don't go for all of the play acting like SCA does.
Hey, Bill.
Yes.
What size brushes did you use on that?
For that one, I was using a medium-sized one, and just a second. Let me turn the chair off again. Okay, sorry, there we go. Yeah, for this particular one, I was essentially using a medium and then this little one here for detail. I have about 4 others, but this is generally my default unless I need to block out a whole lot of color for skies and stuff.
Do they have numbers on them, Bill?
Yes, which are, because it's old brushes, are pretty worn out. Oh, the number on this one is 8, and the number on this one is a small round. Probably could tell if I ever took the original sticker off of it. Oh, the number 1 round.
And are they sable or nylon?
Nylon sable. At least this one is. This one is.
So it's a blend?
Yeah.
Huh. You don't see those too often.
Yeah, I've been playing around with the really cheap, nearly disposable ones where you put the water in the brush.
Uh-huh.
Oh, water brushes.
Kind of dab them onto the.
Yeah, I don't like going all the way for, as far as the cheap. I like to have a certain level of quality because those flat out plastic ones never really worked well for me.
So it's funny that you call a water brush like super cheap because like I've easily found tons of like nylon or polyester brushes way cheaper than like those water brushes are on the market.
Well, I'm going to start doing these reviews. I've been ordering these outrageously cheap art supplies from China through eBay. And you'd be surprised at how good some of them are.
Surprised but not. I mean, the brush pens that I like, the Zebras, I first found them at Daiso for $1 a piece.
Mm.
And it lasts, like one pen lasts between 2 and 6 pages, depending on how it turns out. And even now that I have to get them at Jet Pens, I think they're about $2 a piece as long as I buy at least 5 of them.
That's cool. I get a lot of, I frequently fill in a lot of the edges of my kit with Daiso. I mean, and the watercolors they sell aren't that bad, though admittedly there really isn't any much variety beyond the basics.
From what I've seen, like the biggest difference between cheap watercolors and more expensive ones is how gritty they are, and also like how dense the pigment is. So like how fast you'll use them up, basically. Like you get like a little tiny tube of Winsor and Newton, and that thing will last forever, even though it's tiny. And you get like a good quality, cheaper paint, and it just isn't as dense in pigment, so you'll just use it up a little faster. I'm actually pretty happy with him. I don't know if I'm going to actually put any water or anything in the background because the original image was
That
like
looks pretty good.
really soft and
Just the hint
hazy,
of
and I
it.
kind of like just giving him a little bit of grounding.
No, and considering how foggy it can get on those coastlines, it's not it's not as if you're not being realistic.
Yeah.
So what's your next bird on the list?
I'd have to look. I'm kind of taking it a bird at a time. I don't think too far ahead on these. I just get them done.
Well, I thought you were done with the sandpiper.
Oh, I'm done with the sandpiper. I'm almost done. There's a little part where I had splashed some yellow in. I'm taking some blender to diffuse it out so it's less obvious that I screwed up there. And I still need to sign it. Where do I want to sign it? I think I might sign him. Here, maybe.
So only one person noticed that there were no aliens inside my horror movie, my deck of movie monsters.
I could have sworn there was at least a couple.
When I first started working on it, there were, but I took them out because I have enough for a full set of just obscure movie aliens.
Oh, so that's why you're working on You're There?
That's right.
So yeah, one last look at finished sandpaper. Because I'm going to be able to get started a little bit on the next guy before the end of sketch. So let's see. Next bird is... Uh-oh. My friend M just sent me a text saying she's organizing all her Copics and for some reason got the idea to do some math on how much she's spent on Copics so far. And she's like, I didn't want to think about that much money. They had a sale at Michael's for half off on all the Copics. So I got another about 12 between picking some up at Artisan Craftsman after I did that demo and then picking some up at Michael's the next day because they were half off.
How was your demo for Cartoonist Northwest?
Oh, she was awesome. Unfortunately, there wasn't that many people, but it's definitely worth it.
I'm glad because everybody was so quiet. I didn't have a good idea whether I'd done a good job or not. And because of the way the setup was, I had to basically like look at the screen the whole time. I couldn't really see people's reactions too well. But I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
No, I always like it when they get more technique stuff, and so that was. I mean, I'm not sure how many people are mostly digital like I am, but I always like to see different techniques.
Yeah, there's a million ways to skin the cat when it comes to digital artwork, especially now with Manga Studios getting better every day, basically. So
I'm getting increasingly hooked on it too. I mean, I still do a lot of the post stuff in Photoshop, but more and more, I really like working from scratch on manga.
Okay, let's see. Sandpiper is line number 51. So the next bird from the top is a yellow-sided green-cheek conure, which I've been putting off because I already drew one of them. So I was like putting it off because I didn't want to draw another one again anytime soon.
Don't know that one. Where they're from? Where are they from?
Oh, I'm not sure. It's the one that's really common as a pet, like the green parakeet with the bright cheek circles.
Mm-hmm.
So not a budgie?
No, budgies are the ones with the the like tiger stripes down them,
Yes.
and the solid like vest of color, which I drew a budgie. Somebody did request like a parakeet, and I drew a budgie early on. Let me see if I can pull that one up, because he turned out really good. I actually, the only complaint I've heard about that one is people are like, "Wow, you made that parakeet so serious looking." Because I chose to like work off of like a super close up, so I got a lot of detail of like the feathers and the face on the bird. Sometimes I'm like really zoomed out, sometimes I'm more zoomed in, and on that one it was like super zoomed in because like all of the layouts I kind of put together with like them zoomed out. I'm like, oh, these are boring. Comics, birds. So now I'm up to 55, so I have 45 birds left to go. Scans. Where is the budgie? Budgie. Here he is.
Anik said for me to check the chat. She said, check your chat. I've been trying to talk in the Hangout, but it must only be enabled in mine for some reason. No, Nanik, that's not true. We're all just looking at different screens. She writes,
So here's the budgie.
thanks. I don't have a mic, so there's no audio on my side. Misandrous is the word you're looking for. The Seattle Daiso doesn't have the zebras anymore, question mark.
Oh yeah, they sometimes have the dark blue or the dark gray ones, which are basically the extra fine or the extra wide. I'm really particular to the medium ones, which is the medium gray colored ones. And I have not seen them in a while. I've heard other people say they've seen them, but I do not seem to catch them at Daiso, and I needed them badly to finish a comic project, so I ended up just putting in a bulk order at Jet Pens.
Okay.
Anyway, let me know when everybody's seen the bird so I can stop
that Cock and the Rot came out really well.
I like the budgie. He's very cute. Note how he didn't say serious or stern. I thought he looked.
He does look. He's got that posture a little bit like a serious poet portrait, like person gazing into the 3/4 distance in bird form. And yeah, you actually recognize the Andean cock and the rock. A lot of people don't recognize those. I hadn't even heard about that bird. That bird is especially weird if you know, because like his beak is basically like here, and when they actually open their mouths up, they look like Muppets.
Yeah, I come from a long line.
They're like "Bark, bark, bark," and like their whole top half of that plume like goes up like something off of the Muppet Show.
Yeah,
And like the bottom of their beak is a little tiny thing.
I come from a long line of bird watchers and naturalists, so I'm pretty good with a lot of this trivia.
They are very distinctive looking too. So if you've ever seen one, you probably wouldn't forget their name, because they have a very unique color and a very unique sort of silhouette.
Yeah, not to mention I have a zoo membership, and they have a pair of them in that little aviator, that big jungle fleet free flying room.
Oh, I didn't know. We have them in the Seattle Zoo here?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Oh my, when we were there for a sketch trip with Chicago like a month ago, and there was some kind of like bright yellow birds that were like in mating mode, and they were like flying all over the place, screeching in like 5 different octaves. That's the only birds I remember from our trip, because it was raining, so a bunch of the birds were kind of like either hiding or not really active, and we're all fussy.
Yeah, I like it, especially when you go there, and it's a real quiet time, and if you're one of the only person there for about 10 minutes and just chill on the seat in that step down area, they start becoming a lot tamer.
Anik texted me saying that thanks for the invite. She's taking off.
Oh.
Goodbye, Anik. I was just going to mention that I was at a different drawing group this morning, or rather a freelancing group, and she had stopped by and was showing off some sketches, because here in town they were doing an invertebrate drawing session, and she did some nice her few butterfly sketches, but what was really a nice study she did on a scorpion looked very interesting.
That's cool. She was drawing a scorpion. Nope.
Cat starved for attention there.
Yeah, he comes up though and he like claws the edge of my desk, and I try not to reward him for putting his claws up on there because he's actually kind of like damaged the edge of my desk over time. No.
It says that the last time she was at Daiso, they were sold out or almost sold out. And she writes, I have to head out. Good night. Okay.
Yeah, it's just kind of random to what they have in stock when you go. I mean, it's a dollar store. They'll have what they have, basically.
Yeah, I've got to go start checking there more often since I'm pretty close to the one on Roosevelt. Well, not Roosevelt, but that it's the same group of, it's the same sort of store park that Whole Foods takes up.
I mostly go to get snacks.
Whole Foods, that's...
No, Daiso.
Yeah.
'Cause they have weird Japanese candies and stuff.
I very much try not to because my diet's a bit of a lost cause enough as it is without being tempted by empty carbs.
They're not all empty carbs. You can actually get like the roasted peanuts and stuff sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I actually really like I can't get them at Daiso anymore, but Wajimaya still has them. They're like little dried peas that are roasted with garlic.
Oh,
Yeah, those are yummy.
I haven't had the
They're
ones
so
with
good, and they
garlic.
come in little tiny packets, so you can just like eat as much as you want. You don't have to eat.
I have the ones with garlic, but I always like the ones with wasabi.
Yeah, I hate wasabi. I keep trying to like it, but I just don't. It just tastes like it just tastes bad. It kind of tastes chemically to me. It's probably a taste bud thing. Everybody's got something that they just hate, and for me, it's like wasabi and chickpeas.
For me, it's cilantro.
What?
That might be a genetic thing. There's
cilantro.
actually people.
I
With a
got
gene-
terribly sick after eating cilantro before.
That's weird.
Oh, I haven't heard of people getting sick, but I have heard there's a gene that makes it taste like soap.
I don't dislike cilantro, but yeah, I wouldn't call it soap, but I never really cared for the aftertaste.
Well, I must have that gene because it does taste like soap, but it also makes me.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
if it tastes like soap, then it's smart to avoid it because it means you have the genome that actually reacts to a really specific chemical that's in cilantro. For me, I didn't used to like it, and it wasn't till I had it on I had a flatbed at a Caribbean restaurant with like they had like a sweet sauce on there with the cilantro and like little pieces of meat and dried tomato. And like that was the first time that like it tasted like it was in the right flavor combo with the dish.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a while after that before I could like actually just like eat a leaf of cilantro without it being too strong. So that was my thing.
It used to be that if I even smelled cilantro, I would
Oof.
completely lose my appetite.
Oh, that sucks.
Even if I was absolutely starving, just a little whiff and ugh.
Yikes.
But other than that, I'll eat anything. I'm
I've got one
paranoid
that
when it comes
my
to
mom keeps
cilantro
trying to
anymore
get me to
because
eat, and you probably have no idea what it is. They're these little beans called thromosos. It's a like particularly Portuguese thing. They're like hard beans that kind of look like lima beans, but they're like bright yellow. And they're super hard, and you like throw them in super salty water, and you don't boil them. You leave them in like a bowl of brined water for like 6 days until they just plump up on their own, and then you eat them. And my mom keeps telling me they taste like popcorn, and they do not taste like popcorn.
I have a friend in Japan who is convinced that no one outside of Japan likes natto.
Oh, is that
Isn't natto like fermented bean paste or something?
Yeah,
Or it's
natto is fermented soybeans. And
Isn't miso kind of like that?
what?
I thought miso was also a type of fermented soybean paste.
so is soy sauce?
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically,
There's a
you can
lot
make
of
soy sauce
different
out of wheat and other
made
things.
from soybeans, but natto is just really sticky fermented soybeans. So sticky, like you could pull it like 3 feet out and it would still have these ultra skinny spider web threads going. And
So it's like fermented soybean cotton candy taffy?
no, I'm telling you, when you try to pull the beans away from each other, they're so sticky that you get all these ultra fine filaments pulling away from it.
So
It is. You know how
It
sometimes
sounds
when
like
you
it's
touch
got a
something
lot
that's
of
sticky and you get little strands pulling away?
yeah.
Well, imagine if all those strands were microscopic and they never end. There was like an alternate universe where they just kept coming out.
See, now I'm imagining like a superhero that has like natto powers and can like stick anything to anything and no villain can get away from them. No? Okay. I'm just weird then.
No, I'm there with you. I was watching the second series, second season of My Hero Academia.
Oh,
I'm
cool.
hearing good things about that.
I've only
And there's a character that in the series, it's a little short guy, and he's got these black ball things that grow on his hair, like on his head, like hair,
Mhm.
and he can pull them out, and they're like a small cannon size, but they're like sticky tar. Anything that touches to them sticks to them, and he has an endless supply. Though if he pulls out too many off of his head will start bleeding. But for the
Yikes!
most part, that's what his quote unquote quirk is. That, and he's a real chicken.
Aw.
And he's always crying and screaming, and his costume looks terrible. Looks like he's wearing a giant diaper.
I've definitely got to check this. Based on how people have been responding to it, it's definitely one I've got to check out. So far I really like as far as what little I've watched, I think the Frog Girl is what's got me the most curious.
Mm.
So when you were talking about Natto Boy or whatever, I immediately thought, boy, I wonder if that was the inspiration for this guy.
I could see it. I mean, when
Though
it comes to
there's
like
no
odd anime and like
threads,
superpowers, they get inspiration from a lot of
When I
interesting
saw it, it was
places.
reminding me of the gel cannons that Syndrome used to incapacitate Mr. Incredible in the
Oh yeah.
office scene.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, you have wasted an entire hour on Epic Sketch Time.
Waste.
If you guys enjoyed watching this and would like to participate, please contact me via Twitter. That's @MarkMonlux, Mark Monlux, and I will put you on our list. Also, it would be very helpful if you sent to me via Google your Gmail address or your Google Hangout. I can add you onto one of my circles that I immediately send the invite out to. Now, responding to the invite will only tell me that you want to be added on. I have to do a separate list. I have to enter you manually, so please make sure that I get notification of that well in advance. And typically, it's usually every Monday at 4:30. Thank you, Bill, Crystal, and Pat for joining us this week.
Quick preview. The start of the Green Cheek Canoe. Last little thing today.
Very cute. Talk to you soon.
Ciao.